Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here. I hope everything's okay where you are right now. Today's the big day of the ending of the election. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, a lot of people predicting a lot of different things. The only thing that matters is we get Mr. Trump out of the White House in the next couple of weeks. We have a decision to make, and that's if we don't win, I'm talking about the Democrats don't win the election today, we're going to be at a standstill with our government. They'll be fighting between both parties. We'll never get anywhere, which would be the worst jinx that Mr. Trump would be happy about. But outside of that, the weather's crazy. It's been raining so much here in Hawaii. I touched the plant. I got a rash all over my body the past couple of days. It's horrible. So we got a lot of stuff here in Hawaii that people might not know that exists on the most beautiful place on the planet. But on the other hand, there's so many sightings going on in the ocean, in the sky. But for me, it's just cloudy all night long. I don't get to spend too much time looking at the sky, which I really want to do. I got all kinds of cameras now. I got something really cool for my cell phone. But I'm going to be changing my cell phone to get a better cell phone that has the best camera on it. But outside of that, Tina should be on in a little bit. I hope everything's all right for you. Sit back, relax, try to enjoy it, get what you can out of it. I mean, if I had some spiritual good things to say, it would be great, but I'm sorry I don't. I've been dealing with lots of people online. I do have an open challenge, and the challenge is I will debate anybody about the topics I talk about online, my line, their show, offline, but none of these people have the balls to actually take up the debate. I have one person that at least replies to everything I say, and we're kind of at heads right now. I'm going to say his name. I want you to pull up his. I sent you the link. I sent a link. Sorry about that. So it's an open thing. I'll debate anybody on the subjects from God, death, reincarnation, past lives, future lives. Here she comes. Let me just bring her on.
Hello. Good
Hello,
evening.
greetings. How are you?
I'm fine. You sent me the viewers link, not my link. So I just had to come on now.
No problem. I'm glad you're here.
Hello, everybody.
I'll let her say hello and introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tina Bird here in the UK, in Southampton. It's good to see you. Sorry I'm late, and Happy New Year to everybody. Tonight I'm here with Rev.Hawksblood, and we're going to be talking about spirituality and how close we are to things that are coming out. So back to Tommy and hello.
All right, we're going to get into that in detail. A few things. I don't know if you know about this 180 days for disclosure, and they're going to try to make the government come out and say some things. People think something's going to come out of it. The government cannot admit certain things. I don't know what people expect the government to come out and say. They can't tell us the truth because that would put us totally at odds with the government. So when they say disclosure in 180 days, they're going to show us a couple more stupid little pictures of Tic Tacs and things like that. Really? Like that means anything to anybody? I mean, I could film them any given night. They're not that outrageous. They're all over the sky. So, but we got serious vibrations happening. The energy is kind of weird. Mr. Trump is really trying to crash on the voting today. So if it goes through and the Democrats win, I think the world has a chance of being more in balance. I don't mean any miracles are going to happen, but we'll have a lot more chances of getting the weather things back in place and the protection of the land, the planet, the earth, the air, the water, all the things that Mr. Trump took away. So this UFO world, people are still debating it. the same as the Bigfoot thing. Now, there's lots of movies on a weekly basis on Bigfoot, and I suggest you watch them and see where we're going. But here's my scenario. All the evidence for the past 25 years has not proven a Bigfoot of any kind, per our scientists and our people that are analyzing the hair and the fur. But I do want to say this. I truly feel that a Bigfoot can have hair just like a bear can.
Humans
Meaning,
have hair, why not?
but very much the same DNA is what I'm trying to say. Because everything they say, oh, it's a bear, it's a black bear, it's a brown bear. I mean, even in Mount Everest, where they're saying they have their Bigfoot there.
Yeti. Is it Yeti?
Well, they call it a Yeti, but basically they're saying it's a black bear, and they only have one kind of bears there, and they're saying it's a bear that doesn't belong there, rather than saying it's a Bigfoot. But they have a skeleton of one, and they're not even admitting to that. The government isn't, because somebody a long time ago, a real famous person, took a piece of the skeleton back on the plane, and it was taken away before they got back and landed in the United States. So whatever the reason is, they're trying to keep that null and void, so nobody believes it, understands it. But the 3 shows that are on, there's these one group of people that have the top equipment, and I really think they're going to prove that there's a Bigfoot out there. Second of all, there's a group of people, and it's a whole army of people, one girl, maybe 10 guys, and they want to shoot a Bigfoot. And they're going everywhere they can. They said, we can't protect them until we know what they are, and we have to prove that they're there. So they're out there, and they got all these guns on them and weapons.
Shoot, can they tranquilize it? You don't need to kill an animal in this day and age.
Don't tell me how non-ignorant people are. They just want to be the first one to capture it. Now, the other group that was spent 2 years on TV trying to capture it, every cage they built was broken. It busted out of it, got out of it, and all those kind of things. So it is very strong. I was next to one. I mean, I was looking at a log that snapped in half when he stepped on it. It was right in back of me. It was right next to me. So they are powerful. When they rip trees down to build their nest and things like that, they're incredibly strong. So maybe a tranquilizer wouldn't work, but I'd rather try shooting him with a couple of tranquilizers than just blow his brains out.
There's no need to kill anything in this day and age. But still shoot it with a camera. They'd have actual evidence then.
Well, no, we got a couple videos of that, but that's not enough for scientists. They'll keep saying it's a man in a costume, it's this, that. They're denying it every which way. All right. But the problem with that is I was next to one. They do smell bad, they are big, and they are strong. So outside of that, when we prove
sounds like my dog.
Well, 13 states, you're not allowed to kill a Bigfoot.
Good.
But when somebody shoots a bear, how do they know it's not a Bigfoot? I mean, they could come up with an excuse, and then they wouldn't report it to the government. I mean, I dealt with the wolves. They were killing the wolves in Jersey. And I got in touch with the science department, the mayor, the governor, and they all said, well, there's lots of them out there because they're in the city. I said, do you ever think one wolf's just walking around the town and everybody's seeing it?
But they're in the city because it used to be their property. Humans have built over their land. So we're encroaching on their territory, people. Hello?
Plus, there's very little food anymore. Like you said, they keep destroying and putting houses over. Here in Hawaii, they built 3 houses right on the most beautiful part of where I live. I mean, the beautiful park was right next to it. They ripped it all down. They're building a house there. On the other side, they're building another house right there, right next to the cliffs. It's sad because, if I was anybody can control over this place, I would say no more building on on sacred land anymore. You already destroyed as much as you could. The Army does their bomb testing here. They do it up in the mountains, but they do all their stuff here. I mean, they got enough property to destroy. They don't need to destroy the whole island itself. So,
bombs are so outdated, they shouldn't even be making them anymore, let alone testing new ones.
Well, see, here's the thing. I saw them test a chemtrail bomb. They shoot them out of the ocean. All right. And I don't even think too many people, I have pictures of it. I never went public with them. I didn't put them up online or anything, but I have a picture of a trail going up into the sky and creating the chemtrails. And the moon was up and the sun was up. So it was about 4:30 in the afternoon. crystal clear, and I see it, and it goes right up between the sun and the moon from my angle, and then the trails just went right across the sky. So, but it came
You
out
know
of the
the
ocean.
Trident missiles, didn't it? They used to come out the submarines and that, didn't they? Tridents.
Was
Right.
what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you have to have planes because we don't have planes flying over my area where I live.
I should hope not if they're dropping bombs.
No, but I'm saying I'm about 15, 20 miles. I'm 20 miles max from the airport, and planes can't fly over us. They go right over the ocean. They leave the island and go out over the ocean. So the only thing that comes over me is helicopters. So I mean, everybody's, oh, it's a ship, it's a plane. No, we don't have planes flying over us. One time, maybe once a month, a prop plane comes flying over, real low. And I mean, you can tell what it is. But I'm just trying to get it out there. Over the past month, I heard more people talking about the ships going into the ocean here in Hawaii, seeing them. And third phase of the moon is bringing a lot of pictures up and videos.
There's a change happening to our planet or our world. I think mankind is coming. We're at a precipice, I think, of a total dramatic change to society, our way of life, and whatever they're going to be announcing. But this has forced the whole world to change how we live. We see things more. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Tina, did you see the title of the show? No.
No. Let me have a look. Hold on. Spirituality. We always speak about spirituality.
No, that's not the title of the show.
No, it's not on here. It's not on here.
It's not on there.
No, it says, "Do you really think you're spiritual? And why?" That's what
No,
your
not
title.
there. On the link that I sent you I mean, the actual program, when it's online.
No,
It's
was there
got a title.
disclosures coming?
Yeah. But it's saying a disaster's coming. That's what I said. And I said, are you ready for it?
In 2019, I did a talk with David Hodrin. He was my UFO abduction investigator. He's from BUFOG here in Britain, Birmingham UFO Group. And we did a talk. And at the end of the talk, it was at Titchfield at the Queen's Head. We did a talk with the UFO group there. And one of the chaps there asked me, and I said, they showed me this vision. And like it was a vision of like the end of the world, and we were going to die in this grey stuff either underwater or bombs going off. And he said, "When's this going to happen?" I said, "Whatever's going to happen is happening soon." And this was in November, December 2019. And I said, "It's happening now." I said, "It's going to go on to about 2022, 2024. I said, "And it will change us." And we've had the pandemic, and God knows what else is going to come our way, but we're changing. So.
Well,
it's coming.
Mr. Trump came out and said, get ready for the major storm that's going to hit. He says,
well, something's coming.
But he said, don't get involved. It's going to be so big, but just sit back and watch. All right, that's his viewpoint.
Well, here yesterday in England, the whole of England was put into a national lockdown again yesterday. So no one in England can go to Scotland, Wales or Ireland. No one can move about up and down the country. Essential workers can go to work. Oh, I'm an essential worker and I go to work. But everyone else has to stay at home. They've closed the schools, closed the shops. The only shops you can go to are the ones that sell food and vegetables. So everything here in the UK is shut. You can't have takeaways either. All the takeaways have shut. Everything is shut. So that's in England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. The whole of the UK is completely shut down, even though they're independent. And they announced that they got this vaccine, the new Oxford vaccine. I believe you need 2. Right. But they're saying it don't need to store it. It can be, they're going to roll out 2 million a week, which is nothing really. They said by mid-February to mid-March, they want to vaccinate 31 million people. Bear in mind, there's over 100 million people in the UK, so 31 million people is nothing. But the 31 million people they're vaccinating are people over 80. They are people that are basically at the end of their lives and carers. But that's carers at the hospital. So by March, when they open back up the national lockdown, None of the general population will be vaccinated. None of the workers will be vaccinated, and they're going to go back out, mix with people with COVID, and we're going to start again. So, one, the vaccine either does not work because you would be vaccinating the general population. I know there's vulnerable people, but they don't need to immunise people over 80. All they need to do is immunise the carers to stop them taking and spreading COVID, because people over 80 in care homes don't go out because we're in a lockdown anyway. They don't go out because they're shielding. So to me, that's a waste of time and effort. Yes, they do need vaccinating, but if they vaccinated all the carers in hospital and outside, and then key workers, then like people that have other major jobs, and then the rest of the population. But they're not doing that. They're doing to the people that are dying anyway, or people that are shielding, that staying home. So if they're staying home, they're not going out spreading it. If they're not going out spreading it, then why are you vaccinating them? People that are going to be going back to work, you should be vaccinating, but they're not. So they're pinning everything on this vaccine working. Well, if it doesn't work and it takes 3 weeks to work, we're screwed.
As of 4 days ago, 10,000 people had reactions to it, serious reactions.
Well, we did here in the UK, when they, on the first day they rolled it out, I'm not sure if it was a few nurses or what, people with severe anaphylaxis or for severe reactions can't have the AstraZeneca drug. So they're telling people in the UK they can't have that if they have severe allergies, but the Oxford one is safe. So people can have the Oxford one, but they're only going to give everyone one immunisation, which takes 3 weeks to work.
Well, basically, the research on what's in it is dangerous. If anybody wants to follow that or not, I just threw some paperwork out because they're denying a lot of things as well, like the masks don't help, this don't help. All I can say is we should be doing the little that we can do to stop from getting it. We really shouldn't be partying with lots of people. We shouldn't be going to big concerts, having big parties, doing all those kind of things now.
My mum doesn't go out and she has it. 7 members of my family have it. And one is severe. He's been in and out of hospital with it, sadly. And one of my mum's distant relatives passed away this week from it. So it's quite real and it's spreading rapidly. And the new strain here in the UK, just to let you know, the AstraZeneca and the Oxford vaccine does not work against the African strain. They said this on the news because they said the spike of the COVID-19 virus has mutated so much the vaccines wouldn't be able to approach it to work. So with the African strain, there is no defense against it because the vaccine can't work because it's mutated too much in that strain. So if you get the African strain, you've had it because there's no cure for that yet, or no vaccine for that. Well, and they're never going to they said on the news also they're not vaccinating children under the age of 16. So no one in the UK, England, Scotland, or Wales, children are going to be vaccinated. So children that have COVID and that spread COVID are going to go to school and spread it again because children are not going to be vaccinated in the UK. What is the point in that?
You know, they don't do anything right, ever. But a friend of mine, I'm not going to go into all the details because I don't want to reveal too much about it, but she was one of the first people to get it last December. Out of 14 people, 12 of them died within 2 weeks. She lived through it. But she's in the hospital right now again. She came in and out for the past 3 weeks in the hospital, and she's serious. She could be dying. I am praying that she doesn't. But she's fighting it really hard again now. So when people say it's not real and it's not this, my cousin had it. I mean, she gave it to her son. He gave it to his children. So it's as real as it could be. I mean, people say, well, where are they burying these bodies? Well, they are burying them. And I think
they have to cremate contaminated bodies. I don't know that for certain, but I think that's what they're doing. I'm not sure.
Well, they're burying a lot of them right now. They might have to go into cremation because they're going to run out of space. I mean, you dig a giant hole. I mean, how many big holes are you going to be able to dig?
Well, China, a guy who owned a crematorium said he officially, because he didn't want to say anything, he officially said that his crematorium would burn in 80,000 bodies a day to keep up with it. So it shows you how many people that they think did die in China.
You actually talked.
It was on the news. It was actually, if you look it up, it was in one of the newspapers. He reckoned
80,000 people a day.
They're burning his crematorium. We're trying to burn 80,000 bodies a week. Sorry, day or week.
Oh, okay,
These
that's a
bodies.
little bit better. That's like,
Yeah,
I don't even think they
it
could get
went
that many
against
in a day.
all the numbers that the China was coming out and saying it was only like so many a week. His crematorium were burning night and day. All the workers were at it, and he came out on one of the papers and said that in the UK.
Well,
So
do they pay him extra for that? They have to.
I don't know. All I know is he was the fact he was making it. The numbers weren't right. He was burning these bodies. His company was burning these bodies, which was more than what the Chinese people actually were saying that had died.
Yeah, well, you know, Trump comes out and says, "Oh, only a few people died in China." I mean, we're living in this delusionary mindset people world, which is pretty bad. And I'm going to go into that. I don't know if you're going to stick around. I might do it after you sign off, but I've been dealing with. I'm going to say a person's name. His name's Dr. Turi. He considers himself one of the top psychics online. He claims he knows everything. He's working with a particular race, and he says the bad race and this. But I've been debating him and arguing with him a lot. I just sent him like 5 letters this morning.
Could he answer a few questions for you? Can you ask him what a race has been abducting me? Because if he's in contact with them, he should know. Well, can you ask him what they did with all my embryos?
He's not working with the Greys. He's working with the Dracones.
Okay.
All right.
Surely they know what other races are up to then.
Well, you know, the Galactic Confederation, I've been fighting with so many people about what they think they know and stuff, but like the Galactic Confederation says they're 3.4 million years old.
I think they're older than that.
Well, then it goes, there's when they became active, but they say they're 4.5 million years old. But I just wrote a list of all the alien races that are supposed to be working with them. Hold on, let me see if I can find it real fast. But do you know much about the Galactic Confederation?
Only from what you've told me and maybe what I've seen. I've had no first-hand experience with him or anything.
Well, I don't think. Well, these people that claim to. Oh man!
All I can tell you is about my experiences as an abductee, and to tell you that is true, and it goes on. Interaction between races and having tea time chats with people is something I do not do.
Okay, they claim that these are the races that are part of the Galactic Confederation.
Is the UK part of that? Is the Earth part of that?
Well, I call them Confederation instead of the Arcturians, the Bell Arcturians, Centaurians, the Minotacans, I can't even say it right.
Isn't that a lake on the moon or something?
But say Pegasus. So they're claiming these races are all part of the Galactic Federation. But the sad part is, Alex Collier, do you remember that name? He was the first person to start speaking about the Andromedans, and he said he was working with them. Everything he ever said never came true. He was able to say events that were going to happen, but every time, like the Galactic Federation says the ships are going to land and start taking people up, they give a date and everything. Oh, it happened in a different dimension. So we went into that a couple of times. But again, what I want to bring out, there's so many false stories, make-believe stories, and stories that don't mean anything. Now, to think that they're all good, just look at Tina's story. I mean, you must have heard it by now. Get a book. She put a new book out. But listen to her story. Listen to what happened. She's got more proof than, I'd say, 99% of all the other abductees out there. Oh, they came in my room, took me out of my bed. And that's all they can prove. And they can't even prove that. So when I talked about Uri Geller last week, he was the only one that I know that was given a gift from an alien race. Well, Uri Geller didn't get it, but he got it from John Lennon, and John Lennon got it from the alien race. But that whole thing was squashed. And I think that's part of the reason why they were going after John Lennon. But John Lennon hated aliens.
I think what people perceive as contacts and gifts are two different things. I think every genuine person who's been abducted has their own gift inside him. I think contact and the ability, you either have the ability, I think everybody has the ability to have contact with these creatures, races, whatever have you. But like, what do you call a gift? I mean, I have not the ability. I can I know how they contact me and how they talk to me. But if they've contacted, sorry, my hair. If they've taken other people who have had contact and I've understood what they're trying to say to them, that is contact, and that's a gift. If you can talk to another race, or if you can talk to dolphins or dogs, then that's a gift. So I think anyone who's been taken, not just me, anyone who's been taken it can talk to another race. Another race is a gift.
Well, to me, I don't kind of feel the same way. I mean, it's like saying we got 2,000 religions, and it's a good thing to talk to other religions. No, they all got their programmed ideas, and every alien race that comes here has their set agenda, and it's not to make mankind better or make us more spiritual. So, a gift to me is a beneficial thing.
Yeah.
Not something to make you feel good. I mean, if you could send lightning bolts out of your fingers now and levitate cars and stuff, I mean, that would be a gift.
Oh God, who the hell would want to do that? I want the lottery numbers. Tell me to say I'm going to get them.
How about this word? How about, like, take out your Geiger counter, wherever you put it.
Yep. I've turned it on.
And turn it on.
Yeah.
Oh, where'd it go? Mine's going off as well as yours.
No, but yours is quite near your computer. My computer doesn't give off. I've got a environment friendly. Now, if I put it towards me, last week it did not go off, and this week
it's not going off.
No, last 2 weeks it's not gone off.
See,
no, and that's strange. Every week. That's every week, but mine's gone off, and then since I said about it last,
it's bizarre. If I point this towards the computer, it doesn't go off. When I turn it towards me, it goes off.
It's because it's closer to you. And it's not gone off once now. No beeping, no flashing. And the last few weeks.
Well, mine's flashing. But I'm going to leave it on. I'm going to leave it on today for a little bit. Leave yours on for a little bit. See what happens.
Nothing.
Now, Tina was showing radiation and poisoning in her body over the past couple of shows we did, which is not normal, and it's almost impossible. So that's something nobody else can do. Let's see if somebody says, "Oh, I'm radioactive and I can turn it on when I want." No, she doesn't turn it on. She doesn't want the effects from radiation poisoning, which she does have. At small quantities. I mean, it didn't kill her yet, and I say that the alien race is protecting her from dying, because she can communicate with their little children up there. Hers, I should say. So there's a big thing going on right now. We have this major disaster going on in the Ring of Fire. I don't know if people are watching it. We have the worst earthquakes going on a daily basis. And if people don't realize that something's wrong with the magnetic field of the planet, and we got these debates, and scientists have no proof of anything. And then you got all these people saying they're working with the alien races, and they're telling them. I talked to a person I thought he was spiritual. He's friends with Phil Snyder and all these things. But when he came out and he said the world is flat and they got us on this gyro to keep us straight, I said, how can a person say they're spiritual and say all these things and they could come up with something that's stupid?
If the world was flat, it would be daylight all the time.
If it was flat, where would the water go? How would it stop? You get to the end of the planet and the water just stays there, and the waves hit it and just stop and stay there. I mean, the whole idea. And this friend of mine who I was trying to become friends with, he wanted me to start traveling and go to the conferences that they're doing. And then when he said that, I said, well, these people must be pretty far out there in dum-dum land to accept that. I said, I don't want to lecture with people that believe the world's flat. And then he said, I'm not going to say his name. If you know him, you'll know by what he said. He said he works with Trump. He works with Joe's other body. His other spiritual
Mr. Trump's been getting beaten lately, isn't he? Bless him.
He said he worked with him, and he's been working with him. And, I said, why would you want to work with him? There's a lot of nicer people to work with than Mr. Trump. But what I'm trying to get to is I listen to as many shows in a day as I can. And I listen to the stuff that's being put out there in just about everything, not just one thing. I mean, I watch TV a lot while I'm doing my internet and everything else. But all the shows on, I don't know if you ever watched my 600-Pound Life or 90-Day Romance, all these kind of shows.
I'll tell you, I don't get time because I work normally.
Well, I do my stuff online while I'm
You're
listening and
retired,
watching that
yeah.
stuff. But the conditions and what people are doing is so bizarre. And I said, why would a person talk about getting married to a prisoner and then she's saying she needs money? This guy gave a woman in jail $70,000 for her drug habit in jail. Imagine that.
Some people have more money than sense, obviously.
But sending it to a woman in jail, and she spent the money buying drugs in jail. I said, what kind of jail do we have now?
I thought it was supposed to be deprivation of liberty. I didn't think, mate, what's going on in the world?
I can go on with these stories because I watch every kind of show to see morals of people, to see what people are doing, and it just gets worse. I mean, 90-Day Romance, these romances are so pathetic. Why would you step into something that's so bizarre and twisted if it wasn't even in balance or a good thing? So we talk about morals. I don't know what morals any alien race has, but we don't have them anymore either. We did have morals. We lived in some kind of balanced situation of
I
beliefs.
don't think they have morality. I don't think they have
No, they don't.
morals, no.
They don't have compassion, feelings, and emotions. So obviously, morals won't even fit into that if they don't care
They
about
have
other
an
people.
interest. They have I think they believe they have a scientific interest because they're very. When I
Oh,
was on that table that time, those little ones were quite happy to leave me to die and get on with the next person. Quite just as I was nothing.
well,
And yeah.
that's called agenda. All
Mm.
these races have an agenda, and like now we have the U.S. UN Agenda 21 happening right now, and people, you need to pull it up and read what it's all about. It's about one world order, eliminate the population, destroy the United States. That's what the UN agenda is. So people, if you think everything's rosy, no matter who gets in, as far as politicians and everything else, it's not beneficial to poor people. Rich people are going to be underground. So where are we going if people don't get involved, which they're not, and they're saying, "Well, this is make believe, the virus isn't real." I mean, and we're spreading it. Nobody believes that we can spread the virus. It's sad. Now, we would at least populated with virus of people affected by it, right? A couple months ago, and then they took the barrier down and allowed people to come back into Hawaii, and then they opened up the beach. Now we're up. Now we're equal to everybody else. We're getting way up there already within a couple months. So people, we don't respect science. I don't think science is right on about anything, but the idea that if you're sick, you were trained all of your life not to hang around with people that are sick.
People don't understand quarantine, the rules, or what it takes to achieve proper quarantine. The government obviously has overlooked that basic issue. It's a bit like barrier nursing. It's there for a reason. They don't like implementing it. Not a lot of people know how to use it correctly, and they don't choose to use it. But it's there. They don't use the tools they already have in their toolbox. It's a bit like barrier nursing. Everybody should be staying at home, and if they did exactly what they're told, it would burn itself out. But
Well, Trump said it would disappear magically. It's not going to get big, bad. I mean, he tried to control a country. I mean, when he told everybody to just swallow poison, I mean, oh, really? We got a sad situation. And now that the aliens are super active. Now, I'm going to say this. A book that I read a long time ago, I met her, Barbara Marciniak, and the book was called Bringers of the Dawn. She said she was working with a certain race, but what they do is they absorb souls when they die. So right now,
sounds
with all
about
these
right.
people dying, if these aliens can absorb energy, they're absorbing a lot of these people's energy. And people think that they just go to heaven. Well, they're not counting what aliens can do as far as even our government trying to create clones and drones of people. So there's so many serious things changing our reality, and this virus can actually change a person's DNA. And what does that mean? Well, I'm not too much saying DNA is really important because we haven't changed much in the past 30,000 years.
So, talking about DNA, you could carry on after I interrupt. I'm going to really interrupt Tommy again because I like to stop him. In the other night, 2 nights ago, I had this weird dream that I was with a dead relative in a land I didn't know and floating in the sea. was this. It's like a giant round tic tac. It was huge and white. It was man-made. I think I'm not saying it was from NASA, but there's something you'd find from NASA. Now this thing was about 3 feet tall. So imagine it like like minions. You know what minions are? Imagine a bright white minion with a line across the top. It looked like a case, but it was a tic tac shape. When you opened it up, had all these like thick H test tubes in them with a digital readout. They were floating in the ocean and it had white tubes filled up. They told me it was DNA, but DNA is not white, is it? All these tubes were filled up with like white milk. And there was a couple of these giant round tic tacs, but they were found in water. They're man-made with like a digital readout. When you opened them, there's like a lock on the front of them. When you opened them, they were floating in the ocean for a reason. And these H things are giant test tubes filled up with creamy white stuff with a digital readout. And that's all I kept. They kept showing me this in my dreams. So I'll dream this. So whatever it is, look for them in the sea. And if anyone finds one, let me know.
I'll tell my friend about that. See what she comes up with. But let's just deal with the idea that there's so many sightings within the next week even.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Do people believe it, or they want to say it's a drone? The government will say it's anything but a ship. But this disclosure, which should happen within 180 days. Now, when Trump came out and said he's going to create a group to investigate, he doesn't believe it, but he's going to create a group that investigates it. Well, if Trump wanted to make a name, he should expose the UFO world.
Well, I believe that President Clinton had resistance when he tried to ask about UFOs. It wasn't the UFO, the CIA, it was actually the military, apparently, that was resistant to it. He ran into a dead end when he couldn't get information back from the military from what he was asking. But because he's your general in chief, so he had a right to know or need to know if you're looking at the nation. And they said, no, you don't need to know. Well, if you're the president running an army or a military and you don't need to know, there's something, the military is overriding your president. So that was one issue. I'm not sure if Barack Obama had the same issue, but I believe Donald Trump, Mr. Trump's having the same issue with resistance, which is why he's tried to call for people coming out, more exposure, the space program. He's bought the space program out and rolled everything out so he can say, I need to know because of the space program. So whether it is linked to that, but he's trying to get it pushed forward to all come out.
Well, all that's gone. He doesn't have any ability to do any of that right now. The problem is he wants to close down the election and say he's president, so he can keep doing his thing. But we have a problem, again, with what's happening with these alien races. There's more abductions going on than ever. But when you were saying, like, certain presidents, Truman was the one responsible for everything that got created in the United States. Eisenhower had to follow through with Truman already created. Now, Majestic 12 has the power over every government organization. All right. So they are the ones that protect, and I shoot the wrong word, not protect, to protect their egos from being seen of what they're doing with aliens and what's happening with the ships and everything else. So I was friends with one of them. So I know how real what was going down. It's 32 now. It was 12 way back. And one of them was killed, and he was going to give us something really important.
Tell me, what can you foresee for the mankind for 2021 or 2022? Do you believe that they're going to get a downcraft in front of people? Do you believe that aliens will come forward? Now they're actually saying aliens exist, but not little green men, but the UFO craft now actually exists. Every country's come out and categorically said now, alien craft in the skies do exist. So if they do exist, who is making them? So that surely gives you a lead to who is making them. They can't say aliens don't exist if you've got an alien ship floating about. So if an alien ship is coming to our planet, aliens are real. It's just deciding who and what is the reasoning behind it, which is something that the disclosure teams always asked for. So if everyone's saying that these UFOs are real, why aren't they now turning to more abductees? Like, if more people are being abducted, I haven't heard of any more coming forward with any kind of experiences. Mind you, I haven't been looking, to be honest, but
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I'll answer that two ways, but the first thing is people that get abducted per Truman weren't allowed to know what happened to them when they were on a ship. So it was up to the alien races to mind block them from what was happening. But as of the past 20 years, I would say it was a new thing. They're allowed to remember a created scenario story, meaning a programmed idea of what happened when they were abducted. And it's usually a good thing. So anybody that says an abduction is good is pretty already programmed to think that something taking you out of your own house is a good thing. But now the idea, what I see happening, I relate to one movie. It all depends which race wants to make themselves public within the next year or two. I think, all right, the reptilian race wants to take over the planet. They want to destroy most of the people on it because they need the planet radioactive. The Greys have been trying to work doing that, but they also eat humans. So we got two races that are pretty bad. The Mantis control both of those races. So they're more like the kings and queens and all that of those races. But then when you go into the tall whites, not the Nordics are bad. And people think they're good because they got white robes, blue eyes, and they're tall, long hair and stuff. They relate that to Jesus in their mind, I guess, or something, and think they're good. But they're not. They travel on the ships with the reptilians. But the tall whites have their base near Area 51. It's Area 54. And basically, they've been trying to work with the United States government, and the government won't move them. They let them stay there. There's 4 bases, and they let the alien races have their bases here. And the Area 54, where they are, one person was friends with them, but he said, we can't go near them. They kill us. We die if we go near them. So, but they did talk about taking us to another planet that's exactly like Earth. So, and the government won't work with them. So any good thing that could happen, the government's not going to work with it. But what I feel is going to happen, just like the movie V, if they're going to come here and say hi, they're going to come here and say they're going to help mankind, and people will believe it. Watch the movie, everybody, V. It was a series for a couple months.
I remember that. I remember it.
You need to watch it because basically they build the confidence of the people, so taking them up on the ships and healing them and everything temporarily while they were programming and feeding this stuff to turn them into their food. So the whole thing was covered up under the disguise of nice people helping us, getting everything better. You know, if things were going to get better, we should have gotten better over the past 30,000 years, and we have not. So to think an alien race is going to come here and make things better and healing, which I don't want to get into because that's another sore thumb for me, because healers don't do anything good. They make people think that their karma is gone, and they get rid of things that called karma, which they have to pay off. You can't get rid of karma by letting somebody. You have to work it out and pay it back one way or another. So, but there's this movie, check it out. And then what I feel should happen, and I really wish it would happen more than anything else, was The Day the Earth Stood Still. That movie.
And yeah, they came here to kill us. They came here to wipe out the human race.
What? The Day the Earth Stood Still?
Sorry?
The Day the Earth Stood Still?
Yeah, he came here with Klaatu, didn't he?
What are the words you're thinking of? Day the Earth Stood Still. The ship lands.
Yeah, he came here.
No, listen. The alien robot stands there while he says, you have to listen and get your act straight, or we will destroy the planet. All right. Now the War of the Worlds, they're killing everybody. They got the ships all around the planet. But they wanted us to get the peace act together, and they landed over every country saying, you either stop being this bomb person, an evil person, or we'll destroy the planet.
Mind you, I don't think we're going to get aliens visit the Earth this year, because in 2021, if we've got, when the whole world's infected, would you want to go to a disease-ridden planet which you don't have any effect on you?
Did you ever think maybe they brought it here? Because like I said, if they're absorbing dead bodies, why not kill a lot more? They don't want to work with this many people anyway.
I believe it was man-made. I believe they released it either on purpose to kill the general populace.
Realize all the stuff Tesla released came from an alien race. His 200 inventions were given to him. All right, and he was working where I did all my UFO work. He was working with DuPont, and they make a horrible substance called freon, and then they release a new
It's a gas,
freon, which
isn't
is
it?
3 times what was that?
Is it a gas?
It's put in your radiator to keep it from freezing.
Mm.
But basically, it was a company up on top of a mountain, and they were working inside the mountain. But that's a whole nother story because it was an underground base under there where Tesla was working. And basically, there's a U.S. Army base on top of it, and it says if you get caught here, you will be shot. And that's where we went in every other day. We did all UFO work there, and we snuck in there every single night. Spent 4 hours in there. We'd see some incredible things. We filmed so many weird creatures, entities, ships, you name it. But in the interim, my friend who I did all that work with, he kind of disappeared from mainstream. I can't even get in touch with him. Sargel 18, everybody, if you hear the name, uh, check it out. I worked with him for years, and we were the top UFO photographers in the United States. We had thousands and thousands of pictures of every kind of ship. And I'm talking from 96 to 2000. But nobody wanted to see it. Nobody wanted to hear it. And then when James Gillen came out with the East Seti Ranch and saying all the good ships are here and all that, I mean, you got another storyteller coming out exposing whatever he considered good, even to the point when he said he had a 45-foot alien come walking out of the mountain, and he had a video of it, and it just disappeared. Well, do you ever think it was a hologram? Which it was. So, these people exaggerate the truth. As far as Sargel and I, we lectured around the United States for 2 years together, and we were dealing with all the big name people. Fred Bell was one. Bob, oh man, who was one of the most important people in the UFO world? But 5 of the people I know were killed. 2 of them disappeared. I mean, Bob Dean.
Yeah.
So he was one of the most coolest guys in the UFO world that I met. And I talked to him personally a lot. And he said we have one person in the government in the White House trying to rearrange it. And I said, you don't think we should just go there and wipe them all out? And he said, no, we'll take care of it from the inside. I mean, he died a couple of years ago. Another friend of mine has all these pictures, and he was going to tell her when to release them. So there's just all these things that I know. And I don't want everybody to believe it because they won't. They don't want to know all the truth. They like the parts of truth that make them feel good. All these UFO people, I'm talking about the big name people. Like I mentioned, Dr. Torrey, Corey Good, David Wilcock. I mean, these people coming out with the most ridiculous stories have nothing to do with helping mankind. If you're going to try to tell a story, at least try to help the human race, especially when it's a twisted story. Make it good. And I mean, people will listen. That's why people are saying stories, but it has nothing to do with relating to something that humans can do to make it better. I mean, love isn't the answer. And every other person in the spiritual world says love is the answer. So we got 2 scenarios that do not help mankind move forward. And we're not doing anything beneficial for the human race, the animals, destroying all of them things. So, if a good alien race was good and had power, the big word, they could help us. But if you got a reptilian race, the draconian, the dragons, I call them, and you got the mantis, and you got all these races that are evil, and if you can't take them out, you can't do anything. It's like saying, I'm going to take the president out. No, you can't. Go ahead and try. The most protected race, and they got more weapons than the good people will ever have, because the good people aren't making dangerous weapons. So if we consider ourselves good, we're just making more and more dangerous weapons for the planet. So that doesn't mean we're good people. And now the whole idea, everybody wants to have a gun, protect themselves from the government. I said, do you think a gun's going to protect you if FEMA comes marching up to your house and say they're going to put you in jail because you won't get your injection? You're going to shoot them all? And you think you're going to get away with it for more than a day? I mean, the scenario that people believe, I mean, the good ship aliens are going to come down and protect us. When? We have these horrible scenarios, and I'm open for debate. Come on.
I mean, I would be worried, personally, I would be worried about alien disclosure. Looking back from an abductee side, I mean, it's your worst nightmare, which is true, coming real, but it won't just be real for you. It's going to be real for the other population, because when disclosure happens, they're not going to stop taking people. It's just when people are like, yeah, take me, take me. More people will experience what I've experienced, and it's not going to be nice. And once it's out there, if they've sided with the government all these years, which they obviously have done, it's not been for the betterment of mankind. So when mankind officially they'll come out and say, yes, look, there it is. There's a little. I don't know why they call them greys, little white men. So there they are. Now they've colluded with governments, they've colluded with world officials and kept it from the general populace. What does that tell you? One, about your own government, who you think's doing things for your betterment, and one about an alien species that has gone along with it, and your own government with them taking you and committing war crimes basically on you, and that will continue. And if it does come out and it is announced, basically, well, we all know they're here. It's just a matter of saying, yeah, they're here, and admitting it. And then, where does that leave the human race? And I don't think people thought about the next step on from that. Not about panic. I'll be more worried at the fact that they've colluded with your government.
Well, we're closing in on a time frame. I say this year something's going to happen. Whether they're going to land on the White House I think they will land in a lot of countries at the same time. Because it's not like they want to start a battle and just take on one race. Russia's been working with aliens. Putin said they're working with 27 races. Bob Dean said we're working with 37 races. So the 37-27, you're going to hear from all the people that say the government's been involved with aliens, no matter what government it is.
And yet all these world governments that say they've got all these nuclear weapons and weapons of mass destruction can't protect one citizen from being abducted. What does that tell you?
Well, it's like saying, can we protect one child from being sexually abused? We can't even do that.
They're then allowing a superpower like the UK is allowing alien beings in crafts to come into their airspace, invade their airspace, and take their citizens. I'm not the only one. I've seen hundreds upon hundreds of people up there, and thousands of people they take. I can't be the only one that is come forward, and it's very traumatic for people. Don't just think, oh, you've come out of it for this and this. It's not. For someone to come forward, they need help with it, or it's for a reason. It's very traumatic, and people wait years from childhood till now. So there's people should be worried.
Well, Tina, I asked you this once before. Yeah. How old were you when you actually realized what was going on in your reality? When you were young, you were trying to block it out, but when did you actually face it and say, okay, now I know what's really going on?
It's got to be mid to early 30s. You get a moment, I think, of realization. So at first, when you're a kid, like you say, you try and block it out, you don't realize what's going on, and it kind of leaves you after a while. And life takes over, and then as you grow older, you have a little spout of it which brings it all back, or you have years of nothing in between. But when it comes back to you, it hits you in once. So when I just recalled it was like deja vu, and it's realization. When you see it, you think, oh, it's a dream. When you see a being stood 2 feet from you, you're stuck to a table and you're stuck there, you're frightened to death, and this thing comes towards you and is next to you and has fear in your eyes. When you see this creature stood next to you, staring down at your face, you're crapping yourself. I don't care who you are. And that's the moment of realization. When you see a fear of an animal or another humanoid or another species of being stood there looking back at your face, that's realization. You don't get no more real than that. And that's when you begin to notice. I'll put mine on. But
just came back on.
Nothing.
Well, that's a good thing.
I've got nothing. So when you're there and you're being taken, and you're awake, but you can't do anything. You're frozen. They subdue you. They subdue your brain activity. But when it must be, I think abductees are not immune to it. I think there's something that in our blood or DNA that, or it just doesn't work on certain people. It doesn't work on me. And you remember that is real. If you're stood next to if you get on a safari truck and it breaks down and a lion comes over to you and it's outside of your window looking in, it's surreal. You know it's real. You know it's happening. It's not a freaking dream. You're there looking at that thing. Is that yours? Me.
That's you.
That's me.
Is it radiation?
Yeah, it was. It said 0.42, but it's gone off now. That's because I'm getting hot and ranting. But
well, I was involved with. I wasn't doing books or writing about it. I was just following the story. I had two friends, and both of them women lost their children at 8.5 months pregnancy. The one showed me the sonogram X-rays and everything, and basically, when she went back to the hospital the next day, they said she was never pregnant, even though they did the sonogram the day before.
Well, I had medical problems. I got a lump looked at this week, the breast cancer unit in Southampton at the Princess Anne.
Was it good or bad?
So I don't have cancer, thank you very much, but I do have a lump. They found a lump. So the lump was found, and so I went in, had a mammogram. I had two X-rays, 2 mammograms, and an MRI and blood test, and they said that this lump they detected is normally from women that have children or lots of children. I'm like, I don't have living children, so you don't get to breastfeed and things like that. Or so that was an eye opener, and that was yesterday, by the way, at the Princess Anne Hospital in Southampton. So
well, that's a good thing. I'm glad about that. That's one little thing that's a big thing that you don't have to deal with right now.
But it's interesting that I have a lump from having all these children breastfeeding when
I had to have a lump cut out of my breast when I was younger.
Oh, that's nasty.
It grew really big. They told me they had to remove my nipple and everything.
Really?
And I said,
was it mammogram, mammary cancer or something?
I said, I'm not going to go for it. So within a year, it went away. But about almost 10 years later, it came back.
That's not
and
good.
I had so much pain. And he said, don't worry about it. We can remove it without taking your nipple away or anything like that. And then I had it taken out. But, and I keep thinking, like, from my past lives and stuff, when you realize you were a woman in the past life or a man when you were a woman, you're open to more things and you can sense and feel things. I mean, I remember giving birth. I remember a lot of things why? I mean, I remember when I had sex when I was 10 years old, married to a woman, all these things. It's not like I could have seen it or even heard it. So when you become aware of your past lives, which I suggest is one of the most important things you can learn about in this lifetime, it helps you grow greatly. The same as an out-of-body experience is probably the most important thing that will give you an awareness of what you truly are. And I'll debate anybody because, when you say past lives don't, they're never going to catch up to where they are in this moment. And that means if they die and reincarnate again, they lose all their knowledge that they work for again. So it's time. You've got to do it in a lifetime. And you have to realize that you have lived other lives, what they were and what it meant. And then you wouldn't be asking all these stupid questions like, well, what race was here? Who brought us here? What is that?
But I was hoping to get some of my answered. I've been, like I said to you, when I met where is he? When I met Travis Morton there, I want to get hypnotized. I decided I am now, and David Hodgman's going to arrange that. I'll let you get that. But because of the COVID, I haven't been able to arrange or contact him about that. So I'm going to have to wait now until the COVID's lifted, until I can get my regression done. I don't want to go I'm worried. I don't want to go right back. I want to go back to the last few encounters and get that done, and then see how I feel about that. So I'm just going to have to wait till the COVID's lifted. But with that, Tommy, I'm going to have to say good evening,
Oh,
because I'm
you're
going to go and have
leaving us
some.
already. Oh,
I'm
it's
going to
been
leave you all. So I was going to promote my book quickly. So there's my book. It's T.A. Barrett. It's called The Brotherhood of Night and the Guardians of Light. So there it is. That's me. You can find it on Amazon, Kindle, is download, paperback. I've also released a second book just before Christmas called The Checkpoint. Again, that's by T.A. Barrett. That's an erotic book. And in February, mid-February, just after my 50th birthday, I'll be releasing my third book and part 2 to The Checkpoint, called The Two-Edged Sword. So The Checkpoint and Two-Edged Sword. So look out for The Two-Edged Sword. That's me. You can get that on Amazon. And I'll be writing my book about my abduction experiences maybe later in the year. So with that, Tommy, come back on, because I'd like to say goodbye. Happy New Year to everyone watching here. Happy New Year to everyone in the States and Hawaii and around the world. Let's hope 2021 is going to be better than 2020, and please stay safe out there. Tommy, good evening from me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
all right. She wouldn't let me ask her a question, but all right. I'm not going to spend too much more time, but I did want to finish up on these speakers that I've been dealing with and what they're trying to tell the world. I was going to do a show, and I'll probably do it in the next couple of days, on doomsday and the events and all the things that is being predicted by people, when and where and what's going to happen, all the big name people. Now, I just want to say this, because people have parts of stories, they hear other people's stories, and they base their opinion on that. Well, Michael Scallion was one of the top psychics up until 1995. Everybody, are you listening? He was considered one of the top psychics. He put out a map of what the world's going to look like after the destruction of the United States and all that, and what part of the world's going to be left. And he went into a lot of prophecies. But during that time frame, something happened, and he kind of like just disappeared. He didn't die, nothing like that, but he kind of pulled out of mainstream altogether. Good friend of mine, Sean David Morton, all right, he actually became the top psychic. I don't care what these other people say, and I could say 10 names right now. They're all delusional. They think they're God, think they're this. People saying they're the angel of God. There's only 3 angels of God that came down here to save mankind, and this one person says he's one of them. One of them says he's the top mystic on the planet. I mean, all these people come up with this power and energy of proving what they think they are, and they can't even levitate a pencil. Why is that? To say you're close to God or even have powers like God, it's like watching a pen come floating up in the air, and then where'd it go? How'd it get there? I mean, imagine. I could do a magic trick and make something disappear or appear, things like that. But the problem is, these people claiming all this stuff, brainwashing people to believe it, that they're these powerful beings and all this stuff. Look at the world. You're saving the planet. What are you doing to save it? Did you get any country to unite with another country in a peaceful way? Are we becoming friendly with Iran? We're ready to go to war with them. So let's get this straight, people. Love's not the answer. Aliens aren't the answer. Going inside yourself, not just simple meditation, because then you don't know anything, you don't learn anything. You're not going to learn from the experiences you have on the outer either. Sex, drugs, drinking, partying, jumping off a mountain, skiing, hockey, baseball, all those things, driving a fast car, has nothing to do with awareness. All right. You can be aware that you're spending all the money that you have in your bank and you have no money. Then you can become aware of that, but it's not spiritual. And I listen to these people claiming to be spiritual, and these aliens are spiritual and all these things. in 30,000 years or even 40,000 years, we haven't created anything spiritual on this planet. We created more weapons, more toys, more drugs, and more sicknesses. But the good things, we don't know what they are. Well, people don't know what they are. So when you listen to these speakers, these people claiming, oh, well, this is going to happen. Oh, I was right. I predicted. Well, I'll give you the earthquake right now, and I'll tell you how bad it is. I didn't even pull it up yet. I can tell you how many horrible things are happening. All right? Just so you know, as of this morning, an island off of Australia just had a 5.1. On both sides of Australia, Indonesia had a 5.1 as well. I mean, we got major earthquakes going off every day now. All right. And when you say, well, we're going to have a really big one, I predicted every 7.1 over the past year. And so what? Did I save anybody? Did I stop it from happening? Did I do anything? No. I just said, there's going to be something bad, but I see something really bad happening. We're going to get up to an 8. And it could be a little higher than an 8, and it's going to destroy something. When Tibet was just hit, they lost a lot. I mean, they were already fighting with China. China destroyed Tibet anyway, but they lost 250 temples. How many people died? I mean, we're going to be going into something even worse than that. So, are you ready, people, to look for the truth or hear it? Are you going to listen to these speakers? Well, the good ship lollipops coming in next week, and they're going to give everybody lollipops. Yeah, that's about as far as it's going to go. People, here's something you don't want to hear. And do you really think the government's going to come out and say, well, Truman said that they're allowed to abduct 10,000 people a year? Who keeps track of the people that they abduct? It's not like we get it, though they sign it, seal it, and send it to the president and say, we abducted this person. No. And they have been abducting super more than that. And the numbers have escalated to such high numbers right now. Tina is one of the few people that I have met that has more proof at every level of what happened to her. I mean, Travis Walton, who did Fire in the Sky, he had witnesses, which makes his story pretty much more acceptable to mankind, even though they don't want to believe it. But I can go on and on about the people that I know directly and the stories that happened to them and what went down in my world. So it's time to face reality. We don't have too much time to get caught up and be prepared what's going to happen after today, if it's going to be better or worse, and what other things can go down. But the good ship lollipop isn't flying in anytime soon. Don't wait for it. Don't pray for it. Just become aware of who and what you are and what you can do as a person. Not levitate. Like the music. So here's the thing. We have, I'm in Hawaii. It's 10 o'clock here. By 6 o'clock our time, it'll all be over. All right. So we'll see how good or bad the news gets, what Trump's trying to do today. I mean, all these things going down. But please try to become aware of the truth, not other people's truth. Well, you have your truth, not your programmed truth, what you believed and listened to from other people and accepted it. What is your truth? Do you really know why soul comes to this planet? Do you really know where soul's going to go when it leaves it? Do you really know anything about reincarnation? Do you know all your past lives? Do you realize how much karma you have to pay or paid or don't have to pay? Do you know any of that? What God really is and what it really does? Well, it's time, people. You don't have much time to really balance that out or get to the point where, okay, now I'm going to start looking. No, you should have been looking already. But if you're not, you need to get on the trail right away and start following it to wherever it's going to take you. Because that truth is going to be 10 times more important than all the conferences, all the workshops, and everything else you do. I'm going to do a workshop. And I might charge a couple $, just to make it people realize that it's a little more important than just say, well, he can't charge money, so he can't be teaching. I mean, people say that if you don't pay for it, it's not beneficial. That's how programmed the human race is. But you really shouldn't be paying for spiritual truth. Imagine Jesus walked down the roads charging everybody money. Nobody would have listened at all. So, people, with that, I hope you got something out of today. I'll be doing another show in the next couple of days, getting really hardcore about this, what's going to happen. So with that, tell your friends, give this link to everybody you can. Tune in. Tommy Hawksblood here. Tina Bird was my co-host for the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. If not, you got questions, got answers, email me, hawksblood1@aol.com. I will send you my first or second book if you're interested in it for free as an ebook. My new book, The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization, is probably the most important thing that I put out in my life. And I felt that I had to do it. So please, there's a lot of things going on. Get up to par with what's going down. With that, from Hawaii, till next time.